Today in class we learned how to find the perimeter and area of parallelograms when it was on the coordinate plane and when it was not. So first of all, a polygon is an enclosed shape with straight sides. So we talked about how this is not considered a polygon because it's not enclosed. This doesn't have straight sides. So then we talked about our normal shapes, like quadrilaterals, and then talked about how they did have straight sides and they were enclosed shapes, so we can call them a polygon. So a quadrilateral is a polygon that has 4 sides and all 4 angles that add to be 360 degrees. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral whose opposite sides are parallel and congruent. We show congruent by using those hash marks, and parallel by showing an arrow. So those two opposite sides are parallel and congruent, as well as the top and the bottom. I'm showing it now parallel. The double hashes there mean congruent. And then we have opposite angles are congruent. So if I have this angle here, it would be congruent to this angle here. So if this were 50 degrees, that other one would also be 50 degrees. And then we also went on to talk about how this angle, call it the first one A and the second one B, those two will add to be 180 degrees. And we talked about that means supplementary. If they add to be 90 degrees, that's complementary. They add to be 180, it's supplementary. So I could say A is 50, so B has to be 130 degrees. Okay, in a rectangle, this is a parallelogram with 4 right angles. So we have our right angles, opposite sides are congruent, and they're also parallel. And then we talked about because the two sides meet to form that right angle, then that means that they are also, those two sides, perpendicular. And then to be perpendicular, you would talk about slopes having opposite reciprocals, and we will get to that in our next unit. The last quadrilateral we're going to talk about today is a square, and I'll draw it above here. A square has 4 right angles, so it is a rectangle, and then all 4 sides are congruent. So if this was 5, all sides would be 5, and that's how it's different than a rectangle. So perimeter is the sum of all the sides. That means you're going to add up all the sides. And then we have some area formulas. The first one we'll talk about is a parallelogram. And remember that a parallelogram takes on this shape. Opposite sides are parallel. We call this bottom side the base, but the height has to be perpendicular. So this is our height, not the side length here. You will need that side length to find the perimeter, but not to find area. A rectangle is the same formula, base times height, and we can see here that our height is actually perpendicular to the base already if it's a rectangle. And then a square, there's many ways that we could write this, but because all the sides are the same, we say side times side, which is side squared. Okay, so example 1 says to find the perimeter and area of each parallelogram. The perimeter, we're going to find all the sides, and because it's a parallelogram, we know opposite sides are congruent, so this is a 10 because that side is a 10, and the bottom side is 15. So to find the perimeter, we're going to add all the sides, 15 plus 10 plus 15 plus 10. We get a total of 50 units. For our area, we're going to take our base, in this case it's 15, times our height, and our height has to be perpendicular to that, so that's where that 8 comes in. And 15 times 8 is 120 units squared. Okay, before I did B, I talked about if we take 2x plus 5x, we can add those because they're like terms, and we get 7x. I said then if we take 2x plus 3y, we can't add those because they're not like terms. So the same idea with a radical. So So up here on our perimeter and our area, remember that this side is the same, so it's a square, and this is the same as the opposite side there. So for our perimeter, we'll add the 4 plus the 10 root 2 plus the 4 plus the 10 root 2, and then we'll combine like terms. The 4 and the 4 are 8, and then the 10 root 2 and the 10 root 2 combine to give us 20 root 2. And we only have to add the tens in front, and that would be units. For our area, we take our base, 10 root 2, times our height, 4, and this is what we did the other day. We'll take those numbers on the outside and multiply them. So we get 10 times 4 is 40, root 2 units squared. Then we talked about, remember, that's what they call an exact answer. If they wanted approximate, then we would take the square root of 2 and multiply it by 40. Okay, example 3, we have a square here. I'm going to go like that so you know we have a square. That means this other side is 5 root 3. So to find the perimeter, we're going to add all the sides. So 5 root 3, and since there are 4 that are all the same, I'm going to go ahead and multiply this by 4. So we get this 5 times the 4 is 20 root 3 units. And then for our area, we square that. And we did this the other day in our homework. When we have that squared, we distribute that to both. And we get 5 squared and root 3 squared. So 5 squared is 25, and root 3 squared gives us 3. We multiply those to get 75 units squared. Okay, on D, first of all, you need to know that we're finding the area of the shaded shape, which is a parallelogram. The other information is given to us because we need it. So first of all, to find the perimeter, we're going to add all the sides. I know this side is 10, but I'm not sure what this side is here, and that's where we use this triangle. Because it's a right triangle, we take 8 squared plus 15 squared, and that equals c squared. We solve that. 8 is 64, 15 is 225. We add those together and get 289 equals c squared, and we take the square root of that, and c is 17. So this side is 17. So to find the perimeter, we're going to add 17 plus 10 plus 17 plus 10, and we add all those up and we get 54 units squared, or sorry, just units. Then for our area, we're going to take the base, which in this case is 10 because it is perpendicular to the height. So we take 10 times 15, which is 150 units squared. Okay, so example 2 says find the height and the base of the parallelogram if the perimeter is 100 meters. So again, I'm going to label things. We know that those two are parallel and congruent, as are the other two sides. And then to find the perimeter, we would add all those sides. So 5x minus 2 plus 3x plus 4 plus 5x minus 2 plus 3x plus 4, and this is all our perimeter. It tells us that our perimeter is 100 meters. So I'm going to use that down here as equal to 100 meters, and then we're going to solve for x. So first of all, we combine all our x's. We get 16x, and then we add or combine all our other values. Negative 2 plus 4 minus 2 plus 4 gives us plus 4 equals 100. Then we subtract 4 and divide by 16, and x equals 6. Now we have to go back and find out what it asked us to find. It said find the height and the base. So we go into our height, And we're going to go ahead and replace that x with 6 to find our height. So 2 times 6 is 12 plus 5 is 17. And that is our height. To find our base, that's this one, 5x, and we know x to be 6, minus 2. So 5 times 6 is 30, minus 2 is 28. And that is our base. Okay, on example 3, it says, given the coordinates of the vertices of the quadrilateral, determine if it's a square rectangle or a parallelogram, then find the area and the perimeter of the quadrilateral. So we're going to start at 0, 0 with A, over 4 up 0 is B, over 5 up 5 is C, and over 1 up 5 is D. Okay, so the perimeter is the distance all the way around, and we can count this distance because it is a horizontal distance. So it's 4, and that means this one is 4 as well. The one distance we don't know is our other side. So what we can do is we can use what we have learned already, the Pythagorean theorem. To find that side, we can call this side 1, and the other side is up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And using the Pythagorean theorem, we'll take 1 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared. So 1 squared is 1, 5 squared is 25. Add those together and we get 26 equals c squared. We take the square root of both sides. So this side is root 26. So to find the perimeter, we take root 26 plus 4 plus root 26 plus 4. We combine our like terms. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus we have 2 of the root 26's, and that would be units. Now to find our area, we're going to take our base, which is 4, times our height. Then our height is how tall this is, and we found that here. It's 5. So 4 times 5 is 20 units squared. Oh, and we need to determine what shape it is. It is a parallelogram. Okay, that should help you with your 7-3 parallelograms assignment. Good luck.